should have known it'd be back. A virus like this doesn't just go away after the first infection. It replicates, it changes, it evolves, and now it's back. One of the worst afflictions this world has ever seen has resurfaced. New and improved, potentially. If it's anything like the last time, for me the video gaming culture might never recover. Then again, the video gaming community has survived far worse. Something about this feels different. This is a chance for something good to come out of the horror. This might be the sign we were waiting for. And if that's the case, then there's hope. If this new change in development is anything to go by, other horrible franchises might follow suit. But that's only if this new prototype is any better than the last one. Hello YouTube, I'm Darkest101 and welcome to another Darkest101 review. I was browsing for the PSN store during January, guys, and I found this little, I found today's game and found it was free for PlayStation Plus members for the month of January. And seeing as though I'm a cheapskate bastard and wasn't really impressed by the original, I decided I wasn't going to fork out any actual money for it and just decided to download it for free. That game is Prototype 2. Despite how negative my feelings were towards the first Prototype game, Prototype was enough of a success for Activision to say, you know what, this is enough of a cash cow for us to milk a little while longer. And I know that Activision only published the game and Radical Entertainment developed it, but whatever. I still count it as a sin when considering that Activision's so-called seal of approval is on this and these. So you'll forgive me if I don't jump out of my seat and apologise to Activision. The critical reception for the sequel was on par with the original, but since when have the critics ever been right at anything? I mean, there's more than one instance of a game being critically acclaimed and yet publicly outed as being shite. Now, I won't reference any of the critically acclaimed dog turds that have been released over the past couple of years because, to be perfectly honest, I haven't really played any of them. Any of the more obvious ones anyway, like Resident Evil 6. In fact, I haven't played any of the Resident Evil games. Yeah, I need to fix that. How many Resident Evil games are... Holy shit, that's a lot of games. What did I expect from the developer that made the Devil May Cry chronology go 3, 1, 4, 2? What's this? What the fuck? Anyway, we're here to talk about Prototype 2 and not hypothetically discuss games I might review. The power is in your hands after all. Prototype 2 sets itself, like the previous game, in New York. And already my opinion is lowering. Actually, to be honest, the setting of Prototype 2 feels a lot more dynamic. It feels alive. It feels much more than the first game. It's alive, it's breathing, it's good. And speaking of good, the game actually implements the stealth aspect that the previous game so neglected. You can choose to sneak in areas or you could go full on Rambo, but you get more out of doing it for the sneaky Sly Cooper style. And this sort of sneaky thief way of playing is actually kind of rewarding and satisfying. Heck, even the combat, something I felt was seriously lacking in the previous game, has been improved. You don't have the same amount of powers available as in Prototype, but you do get more impressive regardless. Shields, claws, swords, tendrils, and my personal favourite, the Biobomb. Even though I didn't use it that much, the Biobomb is just an insanely fun power. Pick a guy up, turn him into a weapon, and throw him at your enemies. Hilarious fun. Even though technically the Biobomb replaces the effects of one of your earliest powers, it's still fucking funny. And then there's the side missions. This game has them, and they're good. Some of them aren't really side missions, but more of side quests, which are made so much easier thanks to the hunting mechanic, I have to say. but all the quests add up to giving you new powers and mutations that make you stronger, and these mutations are broken into specific categories: Predator, Offensive, Locomotion. Am I the only one who thinks that the word locomotion has ever been used in a more hilarious context? It just conjures up this image of James Heller as a Thomas the Tank Engine character. Speaking of funny, I think Radical realised they took themselves way too seriously with the last game. Now there's some sort of, I don't know, tongue-in-cheek identity about it. It knows it's silly and over the top and just revels in it while still projecting a badass simulator approach. I mean, I never really felt like a god in this game, but I did feel like a major badass. And it seems to have finally given the game its own unique style and let the voice actors fucking relax. Oh my god, the delivery of lines in this game is so much better. The cutscenes are delivered in a very stylistic black and white film noir style, with all the reds coming through, something I really like the look of. The cutscenes themselves also look phenomenal, and the voice acting fucking brilliant, especially when it comes to Alex Mercer. Fucking hell, this guy went from being one of my least favourite gaming protagonists to, well, not really one of my favourite gaming antagonists. I mean, fuck, no one can top Dr. Nefarious. Patience. I do have plans for the Ratchet & Clank games, don't worry. But Mercer has definitely become one hell of a villain, it has to be said. Heller's voice acting is pretty good too, but seems a little too gruff and serious to be doing the tender care and stuff that comes later on. It's very B-movie, but still good. I remember how in the last game I said there was some really good cinematic sequences. Well, this game has got that down pat once you get into the final stages of the game. Infected citizens of the Red Zone running rampant around the streets of New York, rain pouring down, thunder and lightning flashing every few seconds, and soldiers, tanks and helicopters chasing after you, all firing at once as you race across the rooftops of the city and leaping between skyscrapers. Holy fuck, if I could have stayed still long enough to appreciate the amazing God of War-like scale this game went on, I would have just stayed and watched for hours. The only real problem I have with this game is the enemies. While there's no ridiculous difficulty jump like in the first game, there's also nothing really memorable about the enemies either. There's no big reveal for the big monster characters, and even when you fight the biggest, the supposed Goliath of all the monsters, it's a single encounter which lasts the best part of around 3 minutes. And I wasn't even remotely scared or tense during it. I wasn't really invested at any point in this game, to be perfectly honest. So, what about the story this time around? 2 years after Alex Mercer released the Blacklight virus in New York, a second outbreak has occurred, once again in New York, originating from Penn Station. Gee, I wonder who could have set that off. In this time, Sergeant James Heller of the US military returns home from being posted overseas to discover his wife and daughter are dead after being killed by Mercer. Becoming fixated on Alex, Heller enlists to help Blackwatch, the organization for the first game, police the free zones of New York. This, of course, results in Heller meeting Mercer and being infected. Mercer, however, doesn't kill Heller, but instead turns him into an evolved like him. And like in the previous games, Heller wakes up in a morgue being tested on by Colonel Douglas Rooks and Dr. Anton... Yeah, I have no idea how to pronounce that name, so I'm just going to call him Kurata. You had a sword, Digimon Data Squad, or you didn't? Heller, of course, wreaks havoc in the Blackwatch facility before he's broken out by Mercer. And of course, given Heller's intense, psychotic fixation on Mercer for killing his family, he fights Mercer to the death, or he calmly listens and patiently waits as Mercer explains everything to him.
What the hell is this?
It's what you're meant for. It's why I chose you.
What the fuck did you do to me?
I gave you the Mercer virus. That's what they call it, right? The same virus 2 years in a row. And the same Blackwatch, here to save New York. Wake up, Heller. This is no viral outbreak. This is a bioweapons test. Designed by Gentech. Controlled by Blackwatch. And blamed on me. This peon here is gonna prove it to you. James Heller, meet Blackwatch Lieutenant Mark Simon. Let it happen. Let it come to you. Let the truth sink in.
What the hell was that?
Every living thing you consume makes you stronger. You take their shapes, and you take their memories.
I've heard you talking. I've seen your weird virus shit, but I haven't seen nothing that'll make me believe you over them.
No? They cut you, Heller. They put you in a cage with 50 starving infected, and then they tried to burn you alive. I didn't release the virus. And I didn't kill your wife and kid.
So what do you want? You want to fight them?
Ah yes, this makes perfect sense. After all this time Heller has spent hating Mercer's guts, he's just going to blindly believe the man he thought to have killed his wife and daughter, that the military he's been working for is the real cause of all his trouble. I think you'd have a better chance of convincing Kratos he needs to talk about his anger management issues. So Heller blindly accepts that Mercer is the good guy in all this and goes to his local pastor, Luis Guerra? Fuck it, not a name I can't pronounce. So he goes to Lois for advice. Naturally, this religious man of God would in no way accept or aid the violence that Heller will bring down upon Blackwatch, right? Oh yeah, the Crusades. Heller, with Lois' information, hacks into the Blacknet terminals that are scattered across the city, which provide him with further information about Blackwatch officers and operations. Using all of this intel combined, Heller manages to come into contact with Kurata. Kurata, however, manages to expose Heller's only weakness: talking to him. Is people speaking to this man just his kryptonite? Because if it is, just imagine the massacres that could have been avoided if one of the Blackwatch soldiers just asked Heller if his mother ever hugged him as a child.
Dr. Koenig.
Sergeant Heller, I am so glad to see you're still in one piece. You're not hurt, are you?
Koenig.
Listen, just listen. Gentek is forcing me to work for them. I'm on your side, don't you see? Didn't I try to keep you alive back there in the lab? Didn't I? Never mind that. I have to warn you. Gentek is developing a program called Orion. They're growing... How can I describe them? They're super soldiers, and they're going to be sent after you, Sergeant. Though you might be able to stop them if you act immediately.
So what, am I supposed to just trust you?
Let me help you, please. Guilt will destroy me otherwise.
If you're telling the truth, we'll talk more.
Please, please, time is of the essence. The head researcher's name is Dr. David Burke. Hurry!
So Heller goes to kill the super soldiers, only to discover that Kurata was, shockingly, setting up Heller to be double-crossed. So after discovering this obvious treachery that the audience was telling Heller about from the beginning, Heller goes to kill Kurata. But he is revealed to be one of Mercer's evolved plants inside of Blackwatch. Heller, however, says fuck that and slices him a new one. Of course, Mercer ain't exactly pleased about all this.
Heller! You know I should kill you.
What, did Mercer just become Batman? Mercer explains that there are other evolved in Blackwatch and that Heller needs to be careful. But of course, Heller finds out that Mercer was in fact the one who released Blacklight the second time around. I love how they played this as if it was just this big reveal no one was expecting, when really the only person who was taken by surprise by this was Heller. We all saw that Mercer was lying through his teeth. Why is Heller just a fucking moron? So instead of hunting Mercer like you can so clearly do with other evolved Blackwatch soldiers and Gentek employees, Heller decides to go after Sabrina Galloway, a high-ranking Blackwatch or Gentek employee, I forget which, who's another one of Mercer's evolved. Reaching Galloway, she, like everyone else who's betrayed Heller up until this point, exploits his weakness for people speaking to him in a calm fashion. Dude, you know she's working for Mercer. No, you've been tricked by this sort of routine twice before now, and you know she's probably going to blab to Mercer about everything you're doing. She is going to stab you in the back. Why not just cut out the middleman and stab her in the face? I mean, from a story standpoint, yes, Galloway does help further down the line, but Heller doesn't know she's telling the truth. Why does he blindly believe everything these people tell him? Why? With Galloway's help, Hela discovers that Mercer has tainted the supposed cure to black light, white light, real original there guys, and reconfigured it to accelerate the effects of the virus rather than counteract them. Hela blows him up, but Mercer, obviously pissed that Hela's causing him so many setbacks, kills off Father Guerra. The death scene of the father is handled pretty well, but it's sidelined pretty quickly by Dana, Alex's sister, coming into contact about Hela and his daughter, Maya. Hela, of course, follows up on this and finds Dana in the final section of New York, where the virus was released once again. Whilst there, Galloway contacts Hela about Blackwatch's plan to, again, level New York City. Because, you know, nuking the city worked so well in the first game. Fucking idiots. Hela, of course, stops this plan and continues to search for his daughter, learning that Mercer has some plan for her, and also that Rooks has rumbled him. However, Rooks seems to have the same exploitable weakness as Hela. People talking to him. At least have this shit look somewhat believable. Actually, to be honest, Rooks does make the smart decision and realises he's been bested. After an admittedly amazing mission where Hela tears apart tanks with his teeth, Rooks gives over Hela's daughter in exchange for him leaving the city. Too bad Sabrina Galloway's already there to take Maya to Mercer. You see, Hela? This kind of stuff could have been avoided if you just cut her head off, instead of just allowing her to talk to you. Jesus H. Tap Dancing Christ. At last, we've reached the final point of this game, the climax. It's time to realise the tagline and murder your maker.
Where's Maya?
Safe for the moment.
You're gonna tell me, either on your own, or after I skull fuck you and drain your memories out the hole.
Scary. You just don't get it, do you? I gave you everything, and this is how you come to me. Can't you understand what I'm doing? Humanity is stagnant, dying. I would give it one body, one mind. Think about it. No more conflict, no more disease, no more suffering. Don't you see? I'm giving it a second chance.
Enough of your fucking weird, fucking rambling shit! Give me my daughter!
No, I don't think so. It's time you gave me something. You see, young Amaya shares your brand of annoyingly resilient DNA. And when she's ready, your daughter will become the mother of the new world. So now the only thing standing between me and Earth's true destiny is you.
Holy shit.
Okay, that right there is the best acting in both these games so far. And it is glorious. At first, this boss fight doesn't seem too hard, but then it starts to get insane as Mercer uses all the exact same powers you've acquired throughout the game against you. The Whip Fist, the Hammer Fist, and the Blade all come into play throughout the fight, and this leaves you having to counter his powers with your own, remembering when to dodge, when to block, and when to fight back. And holy fuck, does that music make this fight seem epic. The defeat of Alex Mercer is also fucking sweet, giving some very God of War inspired vibes as Hela dismembers Alex before consuming him. As a result of this, Hela now controls the Blacklight virus, and so sends his tentacles, obviously no offense, across the city to contain it. He then goes to find Maya, and he, Dana, and Maya stand in the sunlight, wondering what the future may hold. Well, that's Prototype 2, and fuck it, this game's fun. The story is stupid as all hell, but I get the feeling Radical indulges in the stupidity this time around. It laughs at how seriously it took itself before and just revels in its own glorious fun. The running does seem a little slower than before though, and the Hela seems way too light whilst in the air. The powers though are fun, the stealth aspect is fun to play around with, and the side missions are more interesting this time around as well. And this game made a very interesting move by taking the protagonist of the previous game and making him the antagonist of this one. Even if we learn very little about Hela aside from what we're given at the start. Prototype 2 seems to be the definition of a B video game. The story is laughably goofy, somebody acting is a little hokey, but all in all it's fun times all round. Having said all that, it's not going to stand out in my memory, however. It's not as frustratingly difficult as Devil May Cry 3, and it's not so poorly disorganized as Prototype, so it's not going to stand out for that. But then again, it doesn't have the entertainment factor of the Ratchet & Clank series, nor does it have the driving characters of the God of War franchise. With all these things said, and Prototype 2 just being lumped into a forgettable category, I'd say it deserves a stand-up dart rating of 63.
Scary.
But as always guys, hope you enjoyed today's review. Have a suggestion for my next one, please drop it in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Darkest101. You have been watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Good night, YouTube.